It's been 12 years since a county supervisor has faced a runoff election. This year, both supervisors who are up for re-election have challengers. North County's Bill Horn and Ron Roberts, who represents the central part of the city of San Diego, with me to share some opinions on these races and on Prop A, the ballot measure, which would ban project labor agreements, are John Warren, editor and publisher of San Diego Voice and Viewpoint, David King, CEO and president of San Diego Newsroom.com. David, why are the challengers to Horn and Roberts strong enough to have gotten them past the primaries?
Well, it's understandable that voters may want to see some new faces on the Board of Supervisors. The members of the Board of Supervisors have been together so long they're like the Rolling Stones, they're starting to look alike. But both Horn and Roberts nearly won their races in the primary, and both are projected to win in the runoff elections.
So would you agree, John, that, it's something that's just going to happen? We're going to see the same supervisors back again.
Well, I think we have something different now because term limits were put in place for the Board of Supervisors. So that means people are going to start coming out, and this is just the first wave of that in terms of folks running against the incumbents. But I think that with 16 years of having the same people, all of the same party, and the dissatisfaction with incumbents, we now have a general attitude toward change.
Are there any particular issues that would motivate voters to go to the polls to vote in these races?
Oh, yes, they're a very important issue. Number one, the project labor agreements, which would ban such agreements in terms of public service contracts. The supervisors have never had to use one, but they want to put in place a provision that will keep them from having to do so in the future.
Meaning they would not have to pay union scale.
They would not have to pay union scale and benefits for workers on public projects. And that's a big issue. And Horn feels, for instance, that with them being termed out, a new board could undo the past tradition. So they want a permanent amendment to the county charter to make sure that that doesn't happen.
We'll talk a little bit more about Proposition A, but Ron Roberts is a Republican in a Democratic district, and Steve Whitburn, his challenger, is a Democrat and is emphasizing his party affiliation. How important will that be to this race?
Well, Ron Roberts has represented a heavily Democratic district, and one of the reasons why he's been able to be reelected is because he's one of those uniquely qualified people in public office. He is qualified for his job. He's a former architect. He was a planning commissioner, a city council member. Barring Donna Fry's write-in candidacy, he would have been elected mayor of San Diego in 2004. So his constituents recognize the fact that he is very qualified for his job, and he does a good job.
Why would somebody like Steve Whitburn then put himself in this position of fighting against an incumbent that's so popular, according to David?
Well, Whitburn says it's from the standpoint of he wants to see diversity and that one party shouldn't dominate. It's a nonpartisan position. But there's also the fact that there are things on the ballot before the supervisors, such as the revisions in the general plan, which will affect the county's open spaces for the next 15 years.
Do you think people really care about this?
I don't think many people care now, but I think more will because of Whitburn being considered an environmentalist and Roberts and Horn being considered more developmentally oriented, and that's going to bring future attention.
We talked about Prop A before. Just to go back to it just for a second, pay and benefits for workers on projects that do not have project labor agreements, they would possibly be lower. And is that a good thing in this economic climate where San Diego's economy is starting to drift downward, according to today's paper?
Well, voters have consistently supported these ballot initiatives to effectively ban local government from mandating project labor agreements. And each one of these initiatives uses the exact same language. So all of them do the same thing. They don't ban a developer from entering into a project labor agreement with a union, but they ban the city, or in this case the county, from mandating it. And here, the Prop A isn't getting a whole lot of union support to fight it because all the union money is, in this case, going into the city of San Diego's Prop D, which calls into question how much of a reform measure that is.
We only have time for a yes or no on this, John. Would Prop A save the county any money in the long run?
I don't think so, but the answer will depend on which side you talk to.
Okay. Thank you very much, John Warren and David King.